were not given in any degree, that their workers were considered to be expendable, disposable.
Yeah, and one thing that I would add to that is that, this sort of a historical legacy of settler colonialism, which extends into today in many, many ways, including kind of the increasing use of prison slave labor, also for the growth and processing of food, which is an issue that we're going to hope to be able to sort of take up in solidarity more so in the future. But also just to say that, a lot of the stories that we've been telling each other, not just today, but like in past years, is that what we're naming really is experiences that we all have with colonialism and capitalist imperialism. But the thing is that sometimes when we organize in this country, we're not encouraged to say those words. And that's why we're building our own space so that we're able to sort of say that.
And so I think as we pass to Fabiola in a moment to talk about how will the tribunal work and to introduce our wonderful jurors who are here, we just want to sort of invite you all to look around the room at some of the art that was created this morning in our workers' assembly, where workers came up with some of the vision that they see of what does food justice, what does farm worker justice look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And some of the things that we named are, we are breaking the chains of capitalism. We want no borders. We want an agricultural system that serves communities, not profits. We want access to healthcare. We want access to basic protections, and many more beautiful images that I think we want to remind ourselves that's why we're here today. Solidarity across borders. We want to end division between workers. We don't want false immigration categories dividing us. Many other things that we could just keep adding that you're going to keep hearing through the next day as well. So I'll pass to Fabiola to walk us through what it's going to look like.
Thank you both. So queríamos tomarnos un momento para dar un poquito de contexto de cómo este tribunal se ha hecho una realidad. Para los que no están muy familiarizados, ¿verdad? En el Food Chain Workers Alliance hay un comité de organizaciones de trabajadores del campo que José nos la va a presentar más después. Son 12 organizaciones, la mayoría tienen representación en este tribunal y la mayoría son organizaciones de base con un modelo de membresía. Y estas organizaciones han trabajado colectivamente antes, ¿no? Han peleado, por ejemplo, contra legislaciones peligrosas y explotadoras, como fue aquí en Estados Unidos y con apoyo de nuestros camaradas en Canadá, el Acto de Modernización Agrícola, el cual planeaba expandir el programa WESPED, planeaba implementar E-Verify y muchas cosas más, ¿no? Y bueno, tiene sentido pues de que estas organizaciones hayan peleado en contra de esto y en el proceso se han articulado y practicado principios que también comparten los otros compañeros del Food Chain Workers, que es la justicia global, la justicia racial, la justicia de los inmigrantes, justicia de género, la justicia climática, lo que llamamos el pan y rosas, la solidaridad intersectorial, la soberanía alimentaria y la construcción de sistemas económicos alternativos. Hoy, como mencionaron las compañeras, en la mañana se llevó a cabo una asamblea de trabajadores en donde se habló de la visión, ¿no? De qué es lo que los y las trabajadoras quieren para ellos y ellas mismas y cómo vamos a llegar hasta allá. Se continuó asentando una identidad colectiva que hemos escuchado a nuestros miembros articular, ¿no? Que esto es otro movimiento agrícola, es un movimiento de base y es un movimiento que no va a comprometer estos principios y uno que quiere poner una visión colectiva de qué es lo que los y las trabajadoras merecen. Este tribunal sabemos pues que lo que se quiso organizar porque sabemos que nuestro sistema legal y político no va a traer justicia para los trabajadores explotados, ¿no? Y nuestros miembros quisieron empezar a ya no como trabajar en la defensiva peleando contra estas fuerzas, sino hacerlo de una manera un poco más proactiva. sino hacerlo de una manera como más proactiva y creando soluciones propias. ¿Todo bien con la interpretación? Ok. Entonces, este comité quiso organizar este tribunal popular para cumplir algunas metas. La primera es dar educación política a aliados, hacer un registro de testimonios que no solo revelen violaciones de derechos humanos, sino también cómo estamos trabajando, organizándonos contra esas violaciones, para identificar a quiénes son los responsables, para avanzar el trabajo político y de organización local y desarrollar nuestra abogacía y alianzas globales también. Reconocemos que hay una historia de tribunales populares muy rica, ¿verdad? Muy poderosa, que muchos movimientos sociales han hecho a través de los años y a través del mundo, y incluso incluyendo nuestros miembros han llevado a cabo sus propios tribunales locales, ¿no? Entonces, la meta pues de este tribunal es exponer estos sistemas de opresión, amplificar las violaciones de derechos humanos, pero también dar una visión para pelear contra estas violaciones. Y por lo que sabemos, este es el primer tribunal sobre trabajadores del campo de Norteamérica, entonces es un evento histórico y bueno, decidimos hacerlo durante estas fechas porque en este país hay algo que el domingo se llama Día Nacional del Trabajador del Campo o algo así, ¿verdad? Y como todos sabemos aquí, esos días de apreciación, ¿no? Entre comillas, no traen poder al trabajador, ¿no? No traen cambio, no traen justicia. Entonces nosotros no estamos aquí para ser parte de eso, sino para mostrar que a pesar de estar bajo este yugo capitalista, trabajadores se organizan para un mundo mejor. Y una de las metas de este tribunal, nomás para ya pasar para qué es lo que vamos a esperar en estos días, es también apoyar a los miembros en el desarrollo de liderazgo de trabajadores del campo. Entonces, los testimonios que ustedes van a escuchar mañana son resultado de grupos de enfoque, de entrevistas, de reuniones que trabajadores no solo respondieron, pero ayudaron a facilitar y a organizar. Los temas y los marcos, como ya hemos dicho, son salud y seguridad, libertad de movimiento, justicia climática. En cada sesión va a haber testimonios, pero también vamos a tener un facilitador y un organizador que nos van a guiar un poquito en la conversación. Y en algunas sesiones, tal vez en todas, vamos a tener una contribución de compañeros que no organizan en el sector agrícola, pero que nos van a ofrecer un poco como su aportación. Y bueno, y por supuesto tenemos a nuestros camaradas jurados, que nos vamos a tomar un rato ahorita para presentarlos. Entonces, cuando diga el nombre de los jurados, si puede levantar el puño para que sepan quiénes son. Primero tenemos a Jerry Buhel. All right. Jerry Buhel es una abogada civil y de derechos humanos, fundadora y directora ejecutiva del Centro de Derechos de Trabajadores de Mississippi, portavoz internacional de temas de derechos civiles y humanos en apoyo a las luchas por los derechos humanos de los trabajadores de todo el mundo. La compañera ha viajado a Asia, África, Europa y el Caribe. A través de su organización ha brindado representación y defensa legal de cientos de trabajadores del Estado. Sus esfuerzos han llevado a la adopción de políticas de cero tolerancia contra el odio que se han implementado en lugares de trabajo en todo Mississippi. Hill también ganó una sentencia importante contra el Ku Klux Klan en Carolina del Sur y ha ayudado a los padres del Mississippi Delta en su lucha por equidad escolar. También es autor y miembro de la Junta Directiva del Farmworkers Workers. ¿Sale? Gracias, compañera. Ok, sigue la compañera Shamtoli Hook. Ahí está, eso. Gracias. La compañera es una experta en empleo y derecho laboral, migración y derechos humanos, con un enfoque en movimientos sociales en Estados Unidos y el sur de Asia. Es fundadora de una innovadora organización sin fines de lucro centrada en el derecho y los medios de comunicación llamada Law the Margins. Ha dedicado ella su carrera profesional al servicio público, enfocándose en problemas que afectan a los trabajadores de Estados Unidos y el sur de Asia. Además de ocupar puestos de liderazgo en Legal Services, también desempeñó como directora el primer proyecto de derechos humanos de los trabajadores del sur de Asia en el Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund y la primera abogada del Nueva York Taxi Workers Alliance. Otra vez, gracias, compañera. Ok, y luego tenemos a Raj Patel, compa. All right, gracias. Y compañero, es profesor de investigación en la Escuela de Asuntos Públicos Lyndon B. Johnson en la Universidad de Texas en Austin.
So he's at the University of Texas, Austin.
Es un miembro del panel internacional de expertos en sistemas alimentarios sostenibles y codirector del documental The Ants and the Grasshopper. Ha testificado sobre la alimentación y el hambre ante los gobiernos de Estados Unidos, el Reino Unido y la Unión Europea. Su libro sobre el sistema alimentario Fried and Starved ha sido traducido a una docena de idiomas. Gracias otra vez. Okay. Tenemos a nuestro camarada Rob Robinson. Despacito, despacito. Bravo. Thank you. El compañero es cofundador y miembro del Comité de Liderazgo del movimiento Take Back the Land. Actualmente es asesor especial de Partners por Dignidad y Rights. Después de perder su trabajo en el 2001, pasó 2 años sin hogar en las calles de Miami y 10 meses en un refugio de la ciudad de Nueva York. Es profesor invitado habitual en el Centro de Graduados de la Universidad de la Ciudad de Nueva York y en varias facultades de Derecho universitarias de Estados Unidos y Canadá. Fue nombrado profesor adjunto de urbanismo en New School en septiembre del 2021. Es miembro de la Junta Directiva Laundry Workers Center desde hace mucho tiempo y el 24 de marzo fue nombrado ganador del premio Oscar Romero de Derechos Humanos de la Universidad de Dayton del 2023. Gracias, compañero. Y por último tenemos a Max Ail. Yo creo que está en otro evento, en otro cuarto, entonces lo vamos a conocer más tarde, pero para compartirles quién es. El compañero es miembro de la Universidad de Túnez, miembro principal del Departamento de Estudios de Conflicto y Desarrollo de la Universidad de Jante e investigador del Observatorio Tunecino para la Soberanía Alimentaria y Medio Ambiente. Investiga la política climática, la liberación nacional de Túnez, la política agraria de la región árabe e historia intelectual árabe norte afroamericana. Es editor de Agrarian South y Journal of Labor and Society y ha escrito para Journal of Peasant Studies, Globalizations, Review of African Political Economy, Monthly Review. Le agradecemos también al compañero. Thank you. Okay. Entonces ahora se va a pasar aquí al compa José. So,
and so the folks who are online didn't get to hear anything. So now we're just asking Fabiola to quickly summarize what she just said. Because it's working.
I can summarize in English. Okay. Thank you, and I'm seeing that folks want me to speak slowly. So, great. Okay. All right, so just to recap in English.
En inglés, ¿verdad?
Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's hilarious. And just to let you know that this tribunal
I can switch normally between these two, right?
Is made into a reality thanks to the Farm Worker Committee of the Food Chain Workers Alliance that Jose is going to introduce later. This tribunal was organized because we know that this political and legal system is not bringing justice to workers, is not bringing power to workers. So our members decided to do this in a more proactive way to put their vision forward. And if you can see, we had a workers' assembly in the morning and folks articulated how they view farm worker justice in the next 10 years. There's also been conversations about our members being part of this, so this other farm worker movement, and one that is not going to compromise on our principles that we share with also the other food worker members. And we thank the jurors for being here. Their bios are in the agendas that we can give you too, but just didn't have their names: Raj Patel, Rob Robinson, Shamtoli Huck, and Jerry Buhel, and Max Agil. And I think that's it. So just English from now on, I think. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just, I'm gonna give quick interpretation, because folks who are online, on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a button that says interpretation. Go ahead and click on it, either English or Spanish. For the folks who are here, you guys have your headset. But this is just for the folks who are in the YouTube or Zoom account. Well, with that said, I wanted to thank all of our members that are here. So when I say your org, we could just do a round of applause. Alianza Agrícola, CATA, Familias Unidas por la Justicia, Comunidad a Comunidad, Farm Workers Association of Florida, Justicia for Justice, Migrant Justice, Pioneer Valley, Rural and Migrant Ministry, the Workers' Justice Center of New York, Mississippi Workers, Burgerville, and I feel like I'm missing one. Warehouse Workers for Justice. And Mississippi Workers Center for Human Rights. Thank you, Jerry Wu, for correcting me. So thanks to all of you guys. I know a lot of people flew in from the West Coast, and now we're in the beautiful New York City. So I just wanted to welcome you all. If you guys don't know me, I'm the operations director for the Alliance. So if you need me while this tribunal is happening, you know where to get me. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Thank you, everybody. So before I pass it on to our comrade Chris, just want to give a shout out, like the folks came from, can you shout out where you came from, where you traveled from? Toronto. All right. Bravo. Where else? ¿Dónde más? All right, bravo. ¿Dónde más? That's it? Washington, thank you. That's it? Washington, D.C., thank you. Los Angeles, yes, all right. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to pass it to Chris, who is going to talk to us a little bit about kind of historical context of what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So thank you, Chris. Chris is with the Justice for Migrant Workers comrades in Ontario.
All right, greetings. First, I want to send a massive shout out. I know there's going to be a lot of brothers and sisters joining us from Jamaica. A lot of the injured workers from Jamaica. Give it up to them. We've got people, farm workers from across Ontario and across Canada, people in London, Ontario, Windsor, Essex, and Toronto, all over British Columbia, and much love to all of you for joining us. So I'm going to be brief. I think I have only 5 minutes. And, we had a conversation earlier today, right? And, some of us, we couldn't get into the United States for a certain period of time for our political activities. But then now we're able to come across and go as we please. There are other people who are in the United States or in Canada, all the centers of empire, who can't leave because of the containment and control of borders. And then there's millions of others who are being deported, detained, criminalized. There are millions of others who are trying to come, and we're saying that they are a threat to our society. Now, that really talks about this for some people, the benign nature of our borders, but then the death threat and the deadliness and the genocide that's associated. And for all of us, we talk about the words of colonialism and imperialism. And we have to understand, it's very hard for us to sometimes to kind of situate the work that we're doing. It's kind of hard sometimes to think about these terminologies like supply chain. I know if I didn't have this understanding about history, I would have no idea what the hell a supply chain is. But then for me, I want us to think about this. And let's talk about this. If I said supply chain, what is that? Anybody want to take a guess? All right. Let's start with the triangle. And the whole triangle that exists from colonization. When we think about slavery, we think about genocide, we think about the theft of people, the theft of land, the extraction of resources, and then the wealth of the global north. And very much that's the foundation of what our supply chain system is in our food system today. So I think that really helps us to understand what we're trying to counter, what we're trying to fight, what we're trying to subvert, resist, and dismantle. And that foundation of a plantation system exists through the way that our food system is corporatized. And the fact that the wealth, as the comrades said earlier, is in the hands of a few people. The same people that are not only screwing over workers here in Canada and the United States, but are also dumping across the global south through processes of trade liberalization, through wars, through imperialism, and through the continued disruption and overthrowing of countries of the global south. So it seems the same people who are destroying our food systems as workers here in the global north are dismantling and destroying countries of the global south, hence which leads to migrations. Part of the conversations that we're going to have today are going to be tough and difficult. We know that. We know that the role of immigration finds ways to differentiate, to divide us, particularly around issues around guest workers, undocumented peoples. This historical analysis that we're trying to interject here helps to fight the divisions, to say, no, that it's not workers. Workers are not the enemies of other people. It's the role of the imperialists, it's the colonizers, it's the rich foundations of these bastards of Canada and the United States that continue to try to keep us divided. And to start off, I want to make sure that this helps to inform our conversation, comrades, over the next little while. This is historic, and I'm not just talking about a catchphrase. We have workers across the world, farm workers across the world coming today to listen, to organize, and to shame our governments. We're also here to say that we're going to be organizing outside. We don't need to engage in legislative reforms. It's about building workers' power, collective power across the food chain. And this is one of many ways that we're going to continue to do this, continue to struggle together. So on behalf of all of us, much love, solidarity to everybody in this room. Much love to all the brethren and sisters out there. Big up to y'all. And any of my students, you better be listening. If you're not, you're going to lose your marks. Anyways, take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. All right. So we're going to pass the mic to our comrade Edgar from Familias Unidas por la Justicia, all the way from Washington State.
What am I talking about? Do I do this in Spanish or English? I don't know. All right, I'll do it in English. I'm Edgar with Familias Unidas por la Justicia. On behalf of the 500 members that we have under collective bargaining agreement, the executive committee, and all the farm workers from Washington State that we represent, it's good to be here and welcoming us into this space. And like what Chris was saying, I don't know if I can match his energy. That was really cool. Chris was saying this is a historic moment for farm workers. I can't remember the last time or the first time there's ever been a gathering like this of farm worker organizations from all around the US, from Canada, coming together and strategizing and building this analysis together. Usually we're isolated, we're just doing the work on our local level or state level, never coming like this on an international level to discuss what is a farm worker movement from the grassroots really looks like and how do we build power from the bottom up. These tribunals, these assemblies, and just this whole space, it's really amazing to be here. This is a people's space. I like this, the People's Forum. And, we usually are told the only places that decisions are made, as like Chris was saying, was at like courthouses and legislative places and political places like that that are like within the system, but this is the real place where we come together. This is the place where the people that have been marginalized and excluded for as long as this country has existed, has come centuries, have come. We come to these places and reclaim that space and make it our own. Yeah. So, you know, I look around the books, the posters, the movement history in here. It's so special. Seeing Che Guevara, Franz Fanon behind me. Last night they had the women of the Black Panthers speaking here, which was, you know, that in itself is historic, all the lessons and the history that they taught us and passed on to us. We saw a picture downstairs of General Zapata, the MST. These are people that we come from, that they gave us history and knowledge and passed it down to us. And we showed it right here, even unintentionally or unconsciously. We showed it in our assembly. The way we talk about land, taking care of the land, our work is sacred, building economies outside of capitalism, ending racism, gender justice, all these things are traditions that we have picked up because of struggles that have come from campesinos and campesinas throughout history. And we're that modern movement. We're expressing that in a modern way, in our modern context. So, you know, on behalf of Familias Unidas, thank you for the food chain workers. It's good to be here. All the judges, you got awesome work to do. And you're gonna listen to from some great people from all across the continent. And we're really honored that you chose to be here with us. So, you know, we wanna send that message of solidarity to everybody here. So, que viva la unión.
Thank you, Edgar. Okay, and our last speaker is going to be our comrade, Mark. Mark joins us from Oregon, and they are an organizer with restaurant workers in Oregon. So just give us a message of solidarity. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know if, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to say anything. Fair enough. Not a farm worker, and that sets me aside from the most of the groups here. However, I think that part of my role in this is going to be discussing the long coattails of injustice that happens. A lot of the injustice that happen on the fields and the farms and the campos has its extensions into the cities. Whether it's the cultural divide between both of us, or the similarities in a negative sense, whereby the growth of fear, of organizing, of bettering the community that exists in a lot of fields for the lack of laws that exist across the country protecting workers' right to organize in the fields. There is a reason why agricultural workers were excluded from the National Labor Relations Act in the 1930s, now specifically because immigrant workers, black and brown workers, were the kinds of workers doing these types of work, and therefore did not seem meriting in the 1930s of the same kind of protections that industrial workers in the cities get. That same fear that rises from the lack of protections extends itself into the cities. It extends itself in our cultures, in our communities, where people are afraid to speak up, people are afraid to talk about what their concerns are, and that has a chilling effect on solidarity. I think part of what I want to maybe impart in tomorrow is how that affects us, how that it unfairly and unduly stamps down wages across the industry, how it tamps down organizing across the country and across North America. But also a reminder in these conversations that, you know, the bosses, whether they're in the campos or in the cities, are not all powerful. These are human beings of flesh and blood like anyone else. Any system of oppression, no matter how vicious and cyclical it is, can be stopped and turned into a virtuous cycle. We call that solidarity. We're obviously outnumber capitalist bosses, 99-1. There is no reason why solidarity can't be the tools of our liberation. And part of that is, reminder that whether you work in the fields or whether you work in the cities, we have far more in common and far more solidarity and far more leverage working together than we do being divided. We can't, as we all know, and a lot of people here have been in struggle in whatever context that is, we all know that we can't last forever in struggle. That's a very difficult thing, impossible task in order to put on ourselves and our communities. But the reality is we don't have to last forever. We just have to last 1 day longer than the boss. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. All right, so we reached the end of our first session. Absolutely no pressure, but if one of our jurors wants to say a few words, we would love to hear from you. But if not, we can wait until tomorrow. Does anybody would like to say a few words? Thank you.
Solidarity, family. Just want to bring you greetings from the Mississippi Delta, the home of chattel slavery and the empire that sold flesh for profit continues to reap the benefits of those sales and those transactions that continue today with meager wages, but slavery nonetheless. And I want to also bring you greetings from Black farm workers who actually are in the midst of several legal actions against white farm owners who have brought South Africans, and I shouldn't even call them South Africans, who brought settler colonial workers from South Africa into the Mississippi Delta to work in total luxury, from the profits and the wages that they make to the conditions that they live in, while Black workers with the same job title are forced to work in squalor, forced to have the lowest of wages. So nothing has changed. And that's why this is so important. That's why it's so historic. That's why I have to say how proud I am to be a part of the Food Chain Workers Alliance, to be one of the co-chairs of the board, and also for my organization to be a sister organization, because to my memory, in the 40 plus years that I've been a revolutionary, this is the first farm worker tribunal that I know of and that I've attended. So thank you on behalf of my board member, Shelly Ennis, who's here with me, and all of those who are struggling back at home. Thank you for having me as one of the jurors. It is an honor.
Thank you, Jerry Vu. All right. Anybody else want to say a few words from the juror? No? Wait until tomorrow? All right. Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Just a reminder, tomorrow we start at 10. It's going to be a long day, so thank you so much for spending the time with us. We're going to start at 10 a.m. It's going to be downstairs, and all of our sessions are going to be downstairs. All right? All right. Well, ¿se puede? ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? All right. Gracias. Thank you to the Zoom attendees for tuning in, and see you tomorrow.
Recording stopped.